Hello everyone, this is Raj here. Welcome to the world of Salesforce. Today is the day 7 class where we are going to discuss about validation rules. Right? So till yesterday we have covered how to create the fields, objects, application in the Salesforce. Now today we are going to see what are the validation rules. That means how we are going to create a quality data inside the Salesforce. Right, we are going to discuss about this validation rules. What exactly this validation rule is? What about this validation? How can we validate the data before saving into the object? How can we validate the data, right? Before saving into the object, and how to create validation rules without using any coding, without using any programming language. How we are going to validate the data. Right? So what exactly this validation rule is? A rule, nothing but a automation process without executing code manually. Right? It will execute automatically. The name itself indicates here validate. Validate. So validate means checking the data before saving into the database. Validating the data or checking the data before saving into database. Right? Before saving into a database. Right? I would like to verify the data. Got it? So let me give small examples for it. So when I'm calling any, let's say when I'm calling to any mobile number. So suppose you are dialing 9 digits mobile number only. But the system will say that incorrect mobile number. Right? How the system knows that the particular mobile number contains 10 digits only. Right? There is a validation rule behind it. So you must enter 10 digits mobile number only. Right? So that is the way how we are going to write the validation rule in order to check the data. Got it? So it is mainly used to enforce the users to enter the correct information before inserting or before updating the records inside the object. Right? In a Salesforce terminology, what is the validation rule here? So in order to enforce the users to enter the correct information before inserting or updating the records inside the object. So by using this validation rule, what we are seeing here, so we can maintain the accuracy of the data. We can maintain the accuracy of the data. Right? And one more thing here. So validation rules always fire when? Before insert and before update. So this is also one of the important point here. So validation rules always firing before insert and before update. Before insert and before update. Right? That means, so whenever I am, let me go into the Salesforce, I will show you here. See, let me go into any one of the object. So I'm going to the accounts. Let me open any one of the account. See here. So whenever you are updating, so before updating, so if you click on edit, see here. So before updating, that means before going, when I click on the save button, so it will redirect to the database, right? Database record. That means it will automatically saving into my database. That before saving into the database, the validation rules are going to fire. That means it is not going to send. It is not going to send unnecessary data. Let's say, for example, phone number I have given as, let's say some GHYT, something like this. Let me click on save. See here, it is saved into the database, but we know it is a bad data, right? We know it is a bad data. The phone number will not be like this, right? It is waste of, right? Waste of memory usage in the database. That is the reason we have to check whether the data is quality data or not, whether the data is right, whether whatever the data I'm check and sending into the database, it is in the correct format or not, or else it will throw an error, right? So always we should maintain the quality of the data here. And there is a one governor limit. There is a one governor limit. So Salesforce is giving for every automation, there is some governor limits the Salesforce is giving to you. Right? That means for every object, so for every object, how many validation rules can we write? So we have a maximum of 500 active validation rules we can write per object in an unlimited version. That means in a full version, we can write 500 active validation rules. So what about our free version? This is a free version, right? Developer edition. So for this, we can write 100 active validation rules. A maximum of 100 active validation rules. That's it. Right? So in order to write these validation rules, Salesforce is providing you some ready-made functions. We have to understand first of all, what are these functions? Some ready-made functions Salesforce is giving to you. By means of these functions only, we are going to create these validation rules. Got it? So let me show here. So functions for these validation rules. Functions. So here I am going to say some of the important functions, and I will show you what are the all available functions inside the Salesforce while writing the validation rules. So out of these, the first main function that we are using frequently is Boolean. So sorry, is blank. Is blank. Is blank is the function which is of type Boolean. Which is of type Boolean. Right? So this function mainly used to verify that particular field is empty or not. This particular field is empty or not. Right? If the is blank, see here, is blank. If the field is not empty, then it returns true. Else it returns false. Let me, for example, let me go into the Salesforce. See here now, I am saving here without a phone number. It is not a mandatory field, right? It is not a mandatory field here. So if you see here star mark, so let me remove this name also. Now save this. It will throw an error. So by default, this is a standard validation given by the Salesforce. So you have to complete this field. You have to complete this field in order to save the record, right? So I'm giving this here. Now the mandatory field is given. Now click on save button. Yes, perfectly it is saving into the database. But the client, so from your business, the client asked you to maintain the phone number as a mandatory. Right? Already the page layout has been designed and already the particular fields has been designed. So if you want to make the particular field as a mandatory, while creating the field itself, we can make it as a required field. Yesterday I have shown to you whenever in creating any field, there is one option checkbox. So make it as a required. So if you click true that checkbox, so then like this it is going to appear. That means the particular field is we are making it as a mandatory field. Now the client asks you to make this particular phone as mandatory, right? Without changing the field. right? I'm not going to edit this field, right? If I'm not giving here the phone field, so I'm not editing this field, right, in the back end. So, but I want to make this particular phone number field as a mandatory field. How? That means I'm going to use here validation rule. I'm going to use here validation rule, right? How I am going to write it here, right? So see, so what I said here, go to this. So for example, I want to make the particular field as mandatory field. Then I have to write is blank of the particular API name of the field. Let's say now here the phone field, right? Phone. What is the API name of the field? You have to check the API name of the field and you have to provide the API name here, right? So is blank of email, is blank of website, like this you can write, right? Whatever the API name of, you have to write that particular field name here, right? That means we are going to make this particular fields as a mandatory before editing this field in the backend. Whenever you are creating any field, you can make that particular field as a required field by checking the checkbox as true. Like this way, we are going to write. So let me write down here. Let me show you how we are going to make it as a mandatory field. Go to this edit object. Come down. See here, validation rules are there. So click on this validation rules. Under the object manager, setup object manager, select the account as our object and go to your validation rules. See here, as of now, no validation rule is there. Now click on new validation rule. See, validation rule, I'm making it as a phone number as a required, right? Account to phone as mandatory I'm giving. So I'm making this particular field as active field. See here, these are all the functions. These are all the functions given by the Salesforce. All function categories, right? Different functions are there. Now I am going to check is blank. So check for the is blank. See here, is blank. Check whether an expression is blank and returns true or false, right? So now select this is blank, insert selected function. See here. So whatever the expression you want to write, you can write here expression. So inside this expression, I am going to insert the field. Click on insert field, go to the account object and check for the phone field and click on insert. See here. So this is the API name of my object. So API name of my field, right? API name of my phone field. Now come down. See whether whatever the expression I have written is it having the correct syntax or not. So here one button is there, check syntax. Click on this button. So it is going to verify whatever the expression I have written is right or wrong. Right now see here no errors found. Now what is the error message you want to display? So phone number is required. Right? Phone number is required. I'm going to write it. So where I have to show this message at the top of the page or at the field. So field I will show you in the next validation rule. So see here at the top of a page. Now click on this top of a page. Now click on save button. That's it. See here account phone is mandatory. It is completed. So error location is top of the page and it is in active stage. Now just refresh the page. So just edit it. I'm not giving any phone number. Just save this. See here, phone number is required. Right? If you want to see, sir, whatever you said it should show at the top of the page. So this is nothing but it is showing on the page. So I want to see whether but it is appearing at the top of the page or not. So switch to the Salesforce Classic. I will show you what is here top of the page. In Lightning experience, In order to make it as a look and feel as a good, it is showing on the top of the page like this. While you are saying this particular record, see on top of a page, it is showing here. In classic version, go to the accounts, open any one of the record, just edit it and save this. See here at the top of a page, phone number is required. On top of a page, it is showing the message. Phone number is required like this. So now I am going to give the phone number, right? Some phone number I am giving. Let me save this. See, no errors are there. Here, no errors are there. Now the particular record has been saved into the database. Okay. Now there is a one more function known as is null. There is a one more function known as is null. It is also a Boolean return type, right? It returns true or false. So only for the numeric fields. So it is for, see the difference between these two. So it is for all, is blank is for all we can use, right? But is null is only for numeric fields. Is null should be used only for numeric fields, not on text fields, right? But is blank is not like that. So that we can use for both numeric and text fields we can use. Right? Is blank we are going to use both for numeric and as well as text fields. Is null we are going to use only on the numeric fields, so not on the text fields. So when this function is returns true, when the specified value is null or empty, right? It returns true or else it returns false. Right? This function should be applicable only on the numerical values, like example currency field, number field, or we can say percentage fields. Only on those fields we can use this is null. But is blank can be used in both numeric and as well as text fields. Right? So for example, you can see here annual revenue. So annual revenue is some currency field, right? So in order to use here validation rule, so we can use is null and as well as is blank also. So is null of annual revenue. So you can write your text message there. So error message, then it is going to display. Right? You cannot use is null for website. Right? You cannot use is null for account name. Right? It can be used only on the numeric fields like a currency, right? Numbers, employees. See here, this is a number field. See here, this is a currency field. Like this percentage fields, there only we can use this. Okay. Now we have seen the text and numeric. How to make the particular field as a mandatory. We have seen for text and numeric, right? Now, suppose I am having this type of pick list fields. See here, public, private, subsidy, other some pick list values are there. How can we make pick list field as a mandatory? So we have seen two types. Text we have seen, numeric we have seen. Now the pick list fields. How can we make pick list field as a mandatory? Right? What is the current selected value? What is the current selected value in the pick list field? Right? In order to use this, we have to use text function. We have to use text function. So whatever is the current value selected. So in order to select this value, right, we have to use text function. And along with the text, we can use is blank. Then it will become text, right? So then we can use is blank. So I am using this particular pick list values to convert it as a text using text function. And then I can use is blank. How? Let me go here. Go to the back to validation rules. So click on new validation rule. Now I am going to make whatever the validation rules here. Go here. So what is the validation for industry, right? So industry is a picklist value. So ownership is a picklist value. So whatever you want, you can use it here, right? Making account industry as mandatory. Account industry as mandatory. Account industry as mandatory field. I'm making it as a true. Now come here. So I want to convert this pick list into text. So text, insert selected. So what is the value here? So I'm going to insert directly field. Whatever the value coming from the industry, insert. Whatever the value coming from the industry, it should be as a text. And now I'm going to use is blank. Is blank. Select this. See here. Now cut this text of industry and paste in the expression. That's it. Right? Now check for the syntax. Come down. See here, no errors found. So how the errors will form? There is a syntactical error now. Now check for syntax. See, it will throw an error. Error, syntax error, missing bracket. So I am going to use this bracket here. Now check the syntax. See here, no errors found. Right now, account industry is required. Industry is required. So where I have to show this error message? On top of a page or at the field. So we have seen the top of a page. Now go to the field. So which field? Industry field. Select this and click on save button. Right. Two validation rules are completed. Now go here. Just remove this and click on save button. See, previously the error message is shown on the top of the page. Now it is showing at the particular field. So check for the field. Click on this industry. See here. Industry is required on at the field level. I am showing the error message here. Right now, if I am giving here some apparel or agriculture, let me save this. Yes, now the record is saved here. So we are going to convert this pick list value into text and we are going to use this is blank. Right, we are going to use this is blank here. Right. So this is the way we are going to make the fields as a mandatory text fields, numeric fields, and pick list fields. And there are some logical functions are there. So we have to understand what is the logical function. Right. So logical functions. So upon validating the data by using these validation rules, in few cases, right? In few cases, single condition may not be sufficient. We need to group multiple conditions together. So whenever any validation rule is created, just now we have used only single condition, whether I am making phone as a mandatory or I am making the particular website as a mandatory, I am making the numeric fields as a mandatory, I am making picklist field as an individual, single conditions. That may not be sufficient. We need to group multiple conditions together in order to validate the data, right? So then these logical functions coming into the picture. In order to prepare the compound conditions, by grouping the multiple conditions together, we have to use this logical functions. So Salesforce is providing to you some of the logical functions here, like end is one of the logical function, or is the second logical function, and one more is not is one more logical function. Right? So coming to this one by one. So first one is end. So how we can write this syntax? Generally, we are going to write end whenever the condition. So for example, this is the condition one. and I need to satisfy this, and condition 2. If this is satisfied, check the other one, and condition 3, like this and so on. Right? It returns true when? If all the conditions are satisfied. Right? If all the conditions are satisfied, then it returns true. That means it is going to save the record into the database. Right? And it returns false when any one of the condition is going to fail. Any one condition, let's say this is true and this is false, then this condition is going to fail and validation rule is going to fire. Right? Instead of using and this many times like this, you can use syntax like this, and make it as a common open bracket. Here you can write any n number of conditions, condition 1 comma condition 2 comma and so on. Like this we are going to write. Right? What about OR function? Here the same OR function. So OR open, so condition 1, condition 2 and so on. OR means it returns true when. So if any one of the condition is satisfied, if any one of the condition is satisfied, whether this condition is true, this condition is false, now system will make it as a true because any one of the condition is true. If any one of the condition is satisfied, right? When it is going to fail, if all the conditions are failed, that means condition 1 is failed and condition 2 is failed, then the total validation rule is going to fail and it will throw an error. Right? Now, what about not? Not. So this is mainly used to change the result. Change the result. Right? Previously, we have seen is blank. Right? Is blank. Whenever it is blank. Right? Whenever it is blank. So whenever it is blank, it should throw an error. So I need to reverse the result. I am throwing the error whenever it is not blank. So like this, we are going to change the result from true to false and false to true. Right? Mainly not function is used to change the result of an operation from true to false and false to true. Right? So let me go here. I am going to make a particular fields as a mandatory by using this and or not. Okay. Let me go into the Salesforce. Now let me check. We have created in the standard object, right? Now let me create under custom object. So whatever the fields are there, let me check here. So account, phone, here phone number is not there. Okay, no problem. About is there. Okay. So let me add a validation rule to check whether this particular email field is blank or not. For this, we are going to use is blank of email. Very good. Now I am going to check here. Now I am going to check here. It should be blank and about should be some value. Right? So I am going to check. Let me show you phone and email so that you can easily understand. See here. See, phone number is there and email is there. Right? So in order to here the both values are there. Phone number value is there and email value is there. Now I am going into this here. Go to the edit object. Select for contact object. So check for validation rule. No validation rules are there. Click on new button. Right? So I am going to write it here. Phone number is required. See here. Phone number is required when email is not blank. Right? Phone number is a mandatory field when the email is not blank. Right? Here I am using multiple conditions. So if I am removing here the phone number, so it should depend on email. When email is not blank, that means whenever I am given the email, I have given the email, then phone number should be mandatory. Right? Then phone number should be mandatory. If email is also not there, if email is also not there, right? Then no problem. Then directly save into the database. If the email is there, then you have to enter the phone number. Right? Now, how we are going to execute this? Come here. So I'm going to write here. So first I have to check is blank of email, right? Is blank of email. Now insert this function, expression, insert field, email, right? Insert field. So now what it is going to check? Just checking the email is whether email is blank or not. That's it. Right? Now I am going to use here not, not, not function I am going to use here. Right? So not is blank of email. Right? And one more condition is I have to check both the conditions are true, right? That means it should have some value. It should have some value. And next is blank of phone number, is blank of phone field. That means it should have some value, and if it is blank, then the validation rule is going to fire. Right? It should have some value and phone number is blank, then validation rule is going to fire. Okay. If it is blank, it is also blank. The condition is not satisfied. Right? So happily it is going to save into the database. Okay. So in order to make this both conditions as true, so this should be true and this is also should be true. Right? This should be true and this condition is also should be true. Then the particular record, see here, then the particular record will throw an error to me. Right? That means phone number is required when email is not, when email is having some value. Now I am going to write it here and close this. Now check the syntax. See here, condition 1, condition 2. Got it? When both the conditions are true, right, then only it returns true or else it returns false. Now, phone is required when email is not blank. Okay. So at the top of the page or at the field. So I am making at the field of phone. Click on save button. Now see, come here, just refresh the page. Now check. I am removing this particular phone field. Right? I am removing this particular phone field. Now click on save button. See, phone is required when email is not blank. So that means email is having some value here. Right? Email is having some value here. That is why it is throwing an error. Now, let me remove this email also. I have removed this email. Now save this. See, one of the condition is failed. So it is saved into the database. So in order to make the multiple, in order to check the multiple conditions, I am using this. Right? And function. Right? I am checking email field and as well as phone field. Whenever email is not blank, see here rose@edge.com. Some value is there. Now save this, it will throw an error. Phone is required when email is not blank. Now I am giving the phone number. Save this. Right. It is saved. Got it? And one more important function is changed. Like this, logical functions are there. Now is change. There is a one more function. Is changed. Mainly, it is going to check whether the specified value has been changed or not. So whatever the value we have specified, so that value is going to change or not. Right? If the field value has been updated, then it returns true. Right? Else it returns false. Right? What is the syntax? For example, I have given some phone number field. Now someone has entered into my system and they are trying to change the phone number field. Then it should throw an error. So then I have to write is changed of phone number. That's it. Right? Whenever if the field has been updated, right, then it returns true. Then it returns true. Or else it returns false. So someone has trying to change my phone number. Then immediately it throw an error. Got it? And one more function is there. Is new. Is new. So it is mainly used to verify the user is currently working on a new record or not. Whether he is updating an existing record, right? That is what system is going to check, right? This is a is new function. So is new function will identify the record based on the record ID. If the record ID is present, right? Based on the record ID, it is going to check. If the record ID is present, that means it is an old record, right? If the record ID is not there, then system will identify, okay, this is a new record. So then when it returns true, so if the record ID is not there, it returns true. If it is a new record, else it returns a false, right? It is going to check whether it is a new record or not. Is new function, right? So let me create one validation rule here. See, let me go into edit object, go to this validation rule, come down, validation rule, new, okay. Phone and email are required for new contact, right? Phone and email are required for new contact, right? Now, how to use it? Come down under the error message I am keeping here. Now, I have to how I am going to use this. See here, first what you have to write? I need to check whether it is blank or not. The phone number field is blank. Okay. Next, comma, is blank of phone and is blank of email. I am going to write it. Right? Now I have to check the both the conditions, right? Then I have to use AND function here. AND. Right? AND function. So condition 1 is true, condition 2 is true. And when I have to check this, whenever the new record is not for all the conditions, not for all the records. So I have to check only for the new records. Then I have to use is new. See here, is new. One more function is there. Is new. Insert it. See here. Now cut all this and paste under is new. Right? So is new. So now is new function should be true and this function should be true. Then I have to use here also both the two conditions are there. This is a is new function. Oh, this is the function, right? Right? This is the function. So is new should be there and this condition should be true. Here also multiple conditions are there. And again here I am going to use and I need to use here and close this final. Right? First I have to check these two are whether blank or not, whether these two are empty or not. So then the multiple conditions here. So I have used and I have to check whether it is an existing record or a new record. So this is one condition and here is one more condition. So then I have to use and. Now check the syntax. Come down, no errors found. Just save this. At the top of a page, save this. Now come here, just refresh the page. Now see here, this is an old record. That means record ID is present. Now I am removing these particular fields here. Okay, save this. See, there is no error because is new function is going to check whether it is an existing record or new record. Right? It is going to check whether it is an existing record or new record. Now I am going to create a new contact here. New contact. So here I am not giving phone and email. Right? Now Mr. Raj I am giving here. Right? There is no any mandatory field. Now click on save button. See, phone and email are required for new contact. Previously the error is not there. Now the error is there. So only the new function, is new function is going to check whether the record ID is present or not. If the record ID is present, then it returns false. When it is going to returns true, if it is a new record, then is new function is returns true. Like this, we are going to write some of the validation rules here. So like this, you can keep on practicing these validation rules. So for this pick list values, prior function, there are few validation rules are there. Whenever you click on this validation rule, click on new button, you can check here all function categories. There are different functions, right? So in order to practice all these functions, directly you can check in the Google. There is a one document here, Salesforce validation rule examples PDF. You can see here examples of validation rules. Click on this examples of validation rules. So now see here, Salesforce is giving in order to practice these validation rules, right? So keep on practicing these validation rules. There are examples of validation, number of examples, right? See here, number of examples, total 35 pages are there. Don't copy paste it all. So check. So first of all, check the descriptions. So what the question is, what is the validation is, then try your one on your Salesforce or developer orgs and check whether whatever you entered formula is correct or not. Whatever you have given the functions or formula or validation rule you have given is correct or not. Just verify this from here, from this example sheet, right? So don't copy paste all these things in your developer org. Just you have to practice. Take one of the sample examples and practice. For every page, take one example. So total 35 pages are there. You can practice number of examples. See here. See all these are examples only. Okay. Hope you understand this validation rule concept. Tomorrow we are going to, in the next class, we are going to discuss the formula fields. Okay. So keep following this channel for latest updates. Thank you.